up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am Eric and we are Ryden Dirty. In today's episode, I'm in Sedona. I'm with Berto. He's over there hiding, doing stuff with his bike. I don't know what's going on. We'll get him in a minute. But what we're doing today is we're gonna try out the new Siskiu D7 made by Polygon. I have not taken this bike on a trail yet, so we're gonna take it to Slim Shady and Highline here in Sedona because I haven't ridden those trails yet. We're gonna see how it climbs, and today is gonna be the first ride and review of the new Polygon Siskiu D7. So let's check it out. All right, there's Berto, so you know I'm not lying. Here he is. We're gonna go ride. Slim Shady, and what else again? Was it Highline?
Highline, yep.
Yeah. Have you hit those before, Berto?
Slim Shady years ago. Great trail.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to ride it on my bike.
Nice. What about the other one, Highline? You've ever done it?
Never been there.
So both of us have never done Highline. So I guess we're gonna have some hurt legs today. I guess that's gonna happen. All right. So what time is it? It's time to ride dirty. Let's do this. All right, here we go. First trail. Have you ever ridden on this bike? We're on Slim Shady in Sedona. Let's see how it climbs, let's see how it handles with the new shock and everything. All right, so I know what you're thinking. Brand new shock, why a brand new shock? Well, I'll tell you why. When I received my bike, I pumped it up, I let it sit for a couple days, and then I sat on it and all the air was out of the rear shock. And I went, that's kind of weird. Let me pump it up again. So I pumped it up and then waited another 24 hours. And then all of a sudden the air was out of the shock again and I couldn't figure out why. So I was like, maybe my shock has a leak. So I figured if it was one of the seals that were in the bottom, you know, when you do your 20 or 50 hour maintenance, I figured, oh, not a big deal. If it's one of those O-rings, I'll just replace it. Not a big deal. I'll ride my bike next week. I took the shock off so I could figure out where it was leaking air from. So on the actual original shock right here, the little rebound knob, it was leaking air slowly out of here, just one bubble at a time when I had it completely submerged. So that's the reason why I had to have it sent in to be serviced. I was like, okay, well, I'll just take it apart and maybe put a new O-ring in there and seal it back up, or at least I can buy one from the shop and do it myself. Because I'm pretty mechanically inclined to like do things. I'm not too stressed out about like rebuilding a shock, you know. So I, took it apart, did everything to do, put a new O-ring in it, put it back together, and it still leaked. So I knew I had to send it into RockShox in order for the warranty to work. So when I was deciding what I was gonna do, because I was like, oh man, if I send it to RockShox, they're gonna rebuild the shock, it's gonna take forever, it's gonna take me like a month to get it. So I said, I'm impatient, I don't wanna wait, so I bought another shock. And I already had it on my mind that I was gonna buy another rear shock anyway, because I was like, I kinda wanna upgrade this bike and see what upgrades I can do to make it awesome. So I bought my Fox rear shock, which was the Fox DPS float. So I put that on, it took me about a week to get that. So that's the reason why we're running a new shock. So far we have it locked out because we're gonna be climbing right now. And it's bumpy and rocky. All right, oh crap, that way, go up. Oh, one thing I did want to mention is that I did change out the stem, the handlebars, and the seat. And the reason I did that is because I had other parts laying around and I just feel a little bit more comfortable on a bike that has a longer stem and higher rise bars. Here you go, beginning of Highline, experts only. Good thing me and Berto are here. So when Berto and I were climbing up Highline, we both realized that Highline was way out of our league. We're just not those kind of riders yet. You know, we wanted to be one day, but we weren't now. And so it was really chunky. We walked most of the way up. We got all the way to the top of Highline and we were like, you know what? There's Slim Shady down there. It'd be more fun if we just did that. So we got to the top of Highline and then we decided to ride the chunk down from where we came up just to check out the bike as well to see how the 120 mils of travel would do. So here's this. So after walking up Highline and getting to the top, and this is the part where we're descending, and as you can see, it's pretty rocky, it's chunky, and I was actually really surprised how well the Siskiu did. For me, having the 160 mils of travel on my Canyon, it's a lot more smoother than this. This is on a RockShox Recon for non-boost, I mean, it gets the job done. It just doesn't feel the best. I guess I've been spoiled for too long riding my Canyon with my 160 mils of travel on the RockShox Lyric fork, which is really smooth, really soft, you know, and it just feels really good. You don't have to worry about getting tired because those shocks just suck everything up. As you can see right there, the Polygon did a fantastic job in my opinion, especially with only having 120 millimeters of travel. This bike was pretty fun. Don't get me wrong, it was rough compared to my 160, but it did a great job in my opinion. And now here's the lower half of Slim Shady. So my final verdict after riding those 2 trails in Sedona about the Polygon Siskiu D7 is, I like this bike. I think it's great. I think it can handle pretty well all the stuff that I threw at it that day. My main reason for purchasing this bike in the first place, not only because it was a great priced trail bike, but it also was a 27.5. I've been riding a 29er for the last year and 4 months. And I'm not very good at climbing on my 29er enduro bike, 160 mils of travel. The reason I wanted to lower the suspension or get shorter suspension is because I wanted something I could climb with. And I wanted to try out a 27.5 because I thought that would be a little bit easier than having a big 29er wheel, have a 27.5 wheel. It'd be easier for me being short, I'm only 5'7", to climb things better. And after using it, I've realized that a 27.5 is great for me for climbing. I can climb so much more efficient on a 27.5 than I can on a 29er big suspension bike compared to a 27.5 small suspension bike. So 160 mil to 120 mil for climbing, 120 mil for me, fantastic. I was very worried about having 120 millimeters of travel after having 160 for so long. But a good friend of mine, Travis from TKolboMTB, I'll put a link down below, he told me, a few things. He's been around the block as far as riding bikes and knowing a lot about suspension, and he worked in a bike shop for a while. So he's usually my guru that I go to when I have questions about bikes and what's good, what's bad, and his opinion, and I wonder his opinion, and I want to know what he thinks, and I'm still going to do what I'm going to do regardless, but I like to know his opinion because he's someone who has a lot of experience in this. So thanks, Travis, I appreciate it. I honestly believe if you're on a budget and this is what you can spend, I feel like this is probably the best thing you can get for your dollar. There is other bikes from other companies that are pretty much close to this range. For me, I was really interested in Polygon because of the fact that they do have the lower price point. Yes, there are some components that aren't as expensive, but you can always upgrade components. And for a person like me, no matter what, I'm always gonna change components. So for me to buy a bike that's gonna have like all the best components, well, I'll probably still change those too. So I figured, why not buy a bike that's on the lower price range and be able to change all the things out without breaking the bank? Yes, is this bike gonna be worth way more than I paid for it? Absolutely. Could I have bought a better frame? Probably, but that's not my goal. I mean, I'm really interested to see how good a budget bike is. And if it's good enough to do some pretty good stuff that you could do on, say, like a Trek or a Marin or anything like that. I can't always buy the most expensive bike, but what I can do is buy a cheaper bike and upgrade parts as I go along through the journey of that bike. So in my opinion, is the Polygon Siskiu D7 a good bike to buy? Yes. Even for a beginner? Yes. Even for someone who already has been riding for a while? Absolutely. It's just up to you. And for me, I think it's gonna do well. All right, well, that's my final review. So if you like what we do, hit that like button. If you wanna see what we're up to next, hit that subscribe button. And always remember, start small and go huge. Thanks for watching.